We all think we know scary. We've got our vampires, our werewolves, the usual suspects. But what if I told you that the monsters that are truly terrifying are the ones you've never even heard of?
I mean, really think about it for a second. What could possibly be scarier than a ghost? It's the one whose rules you don't get, the one whose motivations are a complete mystery. So today we're going to pull back the curtain on some of the world's most obscure and, frankly, most horrifying bits of folklore.
So, our first stop is Southeast Asia. Picture this. You're walking late at night and you see her, a gorgeous woman, all dressed in white, just softly crying. She seems totally harmless, maybe even alluring. But this, my friends, is exactly how the Pontianak gets you.
And here's where it gets really clever and creepy. As you get closer, you're drawn in by this beautiful floral smell. But then it flips. The closer you get, the stronger the smell of just pure rot becomes. That's your last warning sign before things go from bad to so much worse.
Right, so here's the thing. She isn't just any old ghost. The Pontianak is the vengeful spirit of a woman who died during childbirth. And in this awful, twisted sort of poetic justice, she uses her razor-sharp nails to tear open your stomach and rip out your organs. Oh, and if that's not enough for you, she can let out a wail so loud it can literally rupture your eardrums. Fun.
But hey, don't worry, there's a survival guide. Step 1 is, kind of obvious. Step 2, check out her feet. The legends say they're a dead giveaway. Step 3 is a little impractical. But step 4, this is the wildest part. If you jam an iron nail into the back of her neck, it's like hitting a factory reset button. Some versions of the story say it makes her totally docile and turns her into the perfect wife, at least until somebody pulls the nail out. All right, let's jump over to the forests of West Africa for our next creature. Everyone, meet the Sasa Bonsam. And this thing does not do subtlety. We're talking a huge ape-like monster with dark red fur, feet made of iron hooks so it can grip trees, and a jaw so big it can swallow a person's head whole. And apparently, it has a personality to match. Right before it attacks, the Sasa Bonsam supposedly wiggles its fingers with this gleeful delight, like it's about to snatch the last chip at a party. Then it just swings down, crushes its victims in what the source calls a deadly death hug, and, well, then it eats.
So how do you manage to not become a meal? It's actually pretty straightforward. First rule of Monster Club, don't travel alone at night. The Sasa Bonsam can mimic sounds to lure you and confuse you, so having a buddy keeps you grounded. Also, protective charms from a village priest are said to keep it away.
But here's the thing. There's a really grim, really modern solution to the Sasa Bonsam problem. Cocoa farming in Ghana has led to so much deforestation since the 1950s that most of its habitat is gone. So, yeah, the trees are gone, but I guess the fictitious freak is gone too. A very dark silver lining, right?
Next up, we're headed to Southern Slavic folklore for something that's just deeply unsettling. The Drekavac, which means the screamer. It's said to be the soul of a child who died before being baptized, and it looks like a frail, gray kid with a grotesquely large head. Now, what's important here is that the Drekavac isn't going to attack you. Not directly, anyway. Its horror is all psychological. If you see its shadow, it's an omen that you or someone you know is about to die a horrible death. So it's less of a monster and more of a deeply terrifying bedtime story to keep kids from wandering away from home.
Okay, let's hop over to Japan. This number, 50%, represents what happened to a young woman after a tragic accident on some train tracks. She became about 50% lighter, but about 100% more furious. And this is how you get the teke teke.
And that's her signature move. You'll hear her before you see her. The name teke teke comes from the sound her hands or sometimes her elbows make as she drags her upper body along the ground. But don't let the lack of legs fool you. She is shockingly fast. I'm talking fast enough to catch up with a car. So if she catches you, she might ask you this one simple, bone-chilling question. But listen, it's a trap. There is no right answer. No matter what you say, her endgame is to make you just like her, by slicing you in half with a scythe, or just her own razor-sharp fingernails.
So you're probably seeing the pattern here. Just like the Drekavac, the teke teke is a story with a purpose. It's a tale parents tell to scare their kids away from dangerous places at night, like train yards or abandoned buildings. And the scariest part, There's no clear way to beat her. For our last monster, we're going to Iroquois folklore in what's now upstate New York. See, the Ganisto isn't born a monster. It's a punishment. A person who does something truly horrible in life, like cannibalism, is cursed to spend all of eternity as a flying, man-eating head with a hunger that can never, ever be satisfied. It can look like a bare skull or a full head with long hair and bat rings. It doesn't just attack one person. It attacks whole villages, just tearing people apart. And here's the kicker. They say that just saying its name is enough to draw it to wherever you are.
Which leads to the big question, right? You've got this flying, nearly indestructible, immortal head of pure rage. How in the world are you supposed to fight something like that?
The answer is so beautifully, brutally simple. Its one and only weakness is the most basic weapon we have: fire. And that kind of brings us to the whole point. These stories, they're so much more than just campfire tales. They're windows, really, into what different cultures are afraid of, what they value. They're warnings, they're explanations for things that don't make sense. And, yeah, as the source material says, they would be pretty terrifying if they were real. But that leaves us with one last thing to think about. Every single one of these monsters was born from the worries and fears of their time. So what about our time? What modern anxieties? About technology, about society, about the unknown? What do you think are going to become the monsters in the stories we tell tomorrow?